Welcome to Futures Fever, where we dive deep into the world of futures trading and uncover opportunities no matter the market conditions, because volatility is simply an opportunity to find profitable trades. So don't sit back and relax, but sit up and engage as Futures Fever, powered by Apex Trader Funding, starts right now.
Boom, boom, boom. What's up, traders? Welcome back to another episode of Futures Fever. I'm your host, Kevin Dubriske, and guys, we have a special guest today, Gates Adams, the Forged Trader. We'll bring him on shortly, but first I want to go over what is Apex Trader Funding and how you could profit with a prop firm. Now, we're going to go over some market sentiment today. We'll do some trade reviews. We had a crazy sell-off on the ES and NQ today and yesterday. We have Jackson Hole event coming up Friday, so maybe markets are selling off before we're able to come back. But let's bring up some tabs and we will see what we have going on. Perfect. So guys, why trade with Apex Trader Funding? Apex Trader Funding gives traders access to funded accounts, removing the need to risk personal capital. Whereas before there were prop firms, before there was Apex, if you wanted to start trading futures or start trading at all, you needed a couple thousand at least to get started. Now with Apex, right now there's an 80% sale. You can get a 50K evaluation account for as little as $36. Make sure you use discount code FuturesFever, guys, when you get that. You get access to firm capital to trade futures, and you earn up to 90% of your profits. That's after 100% of the first $25,000. I do apologize for the typo here. That's actually $25,000. You keep the first 100% of that, and there's zero personal liability. Guys, this is, you get an eval account. If you blow it, which means you hit the $2,500 trail stop, there's no penalty. They don't make you pay more the next time. It's the same price. You get back on the horse, you try again. Same with the funded account. If you're funded and you blow the account, that's okay, guys, because guess what? You're able to go right back to an eval and get started all over without risking or losing $2,000 of your own capital. It's a real simple process. It's a three-step process. Step one is passing the evaluation account. Then you get on your funded account. And after you get on your funded account, you hit a certain threshold, and then you're able to take payouts. Very simple. Some other prop firms in this space require a 2 to 3 to 4 step process where it's like 2 eval process. Guys, good morning, everybody. Hope you're ready for a great show. I have Gates Adams, the Forged Trader. He's the host of the Trader Bacon Show, and he just hit a milestone in his trading journey too. We'll cover all of that along with some market sentiment very shortly. So guys, hit that like and subscribe button. I hope you guys are ready for a phenomenal show. So they are running a major sale, like I mentioned before, 80% off. Use discount code FFEVER for Futures Fever. This ends August 27th. $50 resets across the board as well. Another phenomenal sale. Guys, don't forget, fill out the form in the comments for a chance to win a free Apex Trader evaluation account. That's why a lot of people are here, for a chance to win a free Apex account. Now, another great part of this sale they have is the lifetime one-time performance account fee is set to $140, and that's it for the one-time fee, which is a great sale. Even if you're getting a bigger account, let's say the 150K account, I believe, is around $240 for the activation fee, well, now it's only $140. You're really spending very little of your own capital to have a lot of actual potential to trade in the futures market. Apex has paid out over $548 million since 2022, guys. That's over $500 million. Win a free Apex account. I do apologize. This is actually incorrect. Last week's winner was Dionel, Dionel. So congratulations, Dionel. Apologize. And now we're going to get into the show, guys. We're going to bring on Gates, see what's cooking. Gates, how are you, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, man, I am pleased to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm used to being on the other side of the equation here, so it takes a lot of the pressure off. So, dude, this is a lot of fun.
Good,
and,
man.
dude, it was great having you on the show Monday. If you guys haven't seen that, you got to check out Monday's Trader Bacon Show with guest Kevin Dubriske.
It's a great show. It's full circle, guys. Awesome. So let's bring up some charts. Gates, tell us a little about yourself. Tell us a little about your trading journey. I mentioned that you just hit a major milestone. Could you tell us a little about that and how Apex helped you get there?
Yeah, dude, I for sure can. I'm going to try to make this as short and sweet because we don't have 6 hours for the whole story. But almost 30 years ago was my first jump into trading. It was actually after my dad passed away. He died fairly suddenly, unfortunately. And my mom recently widowed. We weren't prepared. He was only 59. So just a lot of stuff wasn't in place. And he had a trading strategy that he had developed, and he kept diligent notes. He was a much more disciplined person in that arena than I am. So I took his notes, learned his trading strategy, and started trading. And long story short, it went really well. Mom said, look, here's what he left us. Take it, run with it. And in about 5 months, I turned 100 grand into almost 700 grand.
Wow.
And then one day, just like that, and this was 1998 for those of you old enough to remember back then, just like that, instead of winning virtually every trade, we started losing every trade. And within a couple of months, it was all gone. We'd never taken any of it out. And then we had this terrible idea. We basically refinanced our house and said, we're going to trade this, took all of the equity out, blew that top to bottom, almost $1 million. That was my introduction to trading. And so I spent 30 years kind of getting in and out, never really taking it very seriously. And in, let's see, 2022, January of 23, I think, actually, I decided I was going to make a go of this. I started working with Apex. I have a long history with the guys from Apex. This was before the show, before any of that. I said, look, I'm going to make a go of this. I traded for a year, didn't really get much of anywhere, quit. And about 3 months after that, at this point, I was doing the show. I was talking to successful traders every day, and I'm like, I just really didn't give myself a fair shake. This is actually when I met you, started working with you actually as my one-on-one trading coach. And within, I think the first month, I started passing evaluations like crazy. This was something that I had never done. Like I had done once before, but now I started repeatedly passing evaluations, but couldn't get through that payout threshold. 13 months into that journey, I got that first payout. It was $500. To me, it felt like $1 million because this was the retribution for all of that history, right? And then you mentioned I just hit a milestone. So one day, under 5 months, that from that very first payout request to the final pay, the most recent payout request, I broke the $50,000 mark as payouts from Apex Trader Funding.
That's
so
amazing.
Big milestone, big shift. I'm not $1 million into the process yet. I haven't fully gotten it all back, but we're well on our way.
Man, that's an amazing start, and a 5-month period from your first payout to hitting that 50K mark. That's a huge milestone and such great time on that too, right? To be able to scale that from a 500 payout to a 50,000 in 5 months. I'm going to have you back on the show in 6 months to see where we're at.
Yeah, like I need to speed up. I need to ramp up that process. I've already proven I can do it in 5 months. So what are we going to do for that second 50?
Yep. Well, listen, don't remember what we used to say, right? Don't oversize. Don't think, I'm on a roll. Time to oversize and risk it all. Stay doing what you're doing. It's
all about the multiplication of multiple accounts. That has been the biggest godsend to my growth as a trader, and being able to see numbers that you can't do that on one account or even 5. I mean, that really has taken that multiplication process and taken advantage of it.
Absolutely. So when you do a lot of copy accounts, do you trade on like Ninja Trader? How do you use your copy accounts?
Well, that's a loaded question because I've gone through various iterations of this. My current is I'm trading on Trade-Evade accounts on a Mac. I'm a Mac guy. So in the background on a separate machine, I have a PC that I have Ninja Trader running with the Apex Trade Copier in the background. And so I sort of monitor that as best I can. Right now, it's not in the line of sight, but I've had it in the line of sight before. And so this gives me the opportunity to trade. I do size up 2x for evaluations. So if I'm running a set of evaluations, then I'll 2x those. So I'll just take whatever trade I take on my PAs and I'll double it. And if I blow some evaluations, it's just not going to break my heart. But my trade strategy is by being focused on my PA accounts, then I'm taking more, I'm not trying to, YOLO my way into one trade into a $5,000 or $9,000 profit target.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. So what strategy are you using? Let's help your charts.
I always refer to being sort of ICT adjacent. I don't buy into a lot of the mass. I've literally never sat through an entire ICT video. I don't have that kind of time. I'm old. I'm too old for that. But I trade time-based liquidity. So what I'm looking for is primarily I'm looking for London session high and low, Asia session high and low, previous day high and low. And I say that with a little bit of a caveat. My London session is midnight to 6. My Asia session is 6 p.m. to midnight. So it's not really the quote unquote session. It's really just 1/4 of the day. So if I'm taking that 6 hour, call it a 6 hour candle, that high and low, those become my liquidity levels, right? So what I'm looking for is a sweep of those levels. And I'm either going to look for either a reversal or continuation. What I'm looking for is what happens when we hit that level. So this morning we hit that, what I would call my Asia session. We hit that level pre-market and we came back. So really what I was looking for at market open is we've already hit that level. We've already eaten that liquidity. So are we going to bounce off of it and shoot for that next level, which in this case would be the London low? Or are we going to revert, are we going to basically take that small bounce and then continue up to the upside for, previous day low was up there, Asia high was up there. And then of course we have previous day high miles and miles and miles away. So after yesterday's phenomenal price action that ate me up, for being honest. But with that first massive candle, like right here, this is my 5 minute. Let's see if we can pull this up on the 1 minute, because I actually typically trade the 1 minute.
Okay.
So
what time frame do you feel you're doing your analysis on?
So I'll look at the daily in the 4 hour, and that's sort of where I set the stage. I'm not too committed to any sort of a directional bias.
Okay.
But I do want to see what's going on. Have we hit any fair value gaps? Have we swept any, highs or lows or anything like that? And that's really where I'm going to start to get my gauge of what I'm looking at. Now, once that's done, I have a 1 hour, a 15 minute, a 5 minute, and a 1 minute just up at all times on like my two main trading monitors over here. I also have a 15 minute up with NQ, ES, and YM, looking for any sort of divergence, any sort of obvious divergence. That's not the biggest part of my play, but it's just an extra added confirmation when I see it. So this morning, what my main entry model is looking for an inverted fair value gap. So when we start to see that movement, well, this candle 2 minutes before open gave us, let's see if I can do that fair value gap. And then with that opening candle, we destroyed that. We inverted it. Obvious displacement. Of course, it's the first candle, so it's going to displace. That's not shocking. But that gave me enough confidence, since we'd already swept London highs, to take that short. So I took the short. I didn't exactly get in on the completion of this candle, but within, I can't remember exactly where I got in, but within a few ticks, and then took it. And basically, once I got to London low down here, to me at this point, I have a choice. Am I going to exit the trade? Am I going to manage my trade? Well, with the force that number one had already started with, continued with, then we displaced aggressively through that London low. I decided to just manage the trade and start moving my stops. So at this point, my stop's in profit, and I'm just seeing where it goes. And these are new accounts that I'm trading, because I had a little oopsie on Monday, and it happens to everybody, right? So these are relatively new accounts. So I didn't want to dig too deep into the 30% consistency rule. Okay. So once I hit about that $1,100-$1,200 profit mark, I could have kept it for a lot longer. It would have continued phenomenally, but quite frankly, I've got 5 accounts. So between $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 per account, I'm very, very pleased with that. I can't ask for anything more. And that's a great way to end the day, just feeling fantastic. And then I got on and then I shut down my accounts like I'm supposed to do, which is not always the easiest thing for me to do. No, and then you had me, and then you had me open them back up. So I had to take a look and see what I missed out on, and of course, messing with my psychology, Kev.
Yeah, no, that will do it. Good doing what you're supposed to do, though. It sounds like you've really been following through, and you're getting rewarded for it, right? You're hitting your payouts. That's fantastic. Somebody was commenting in the comments how they had to cancel a few of their brokers and platforms. They weren't sure where to start. Well, you're in the right show, because the best place to get started for whether you're a new trader, whether you've been trading maybe penny stocks for a while but haven't really found your go-to strategy yet, but don't want to put any more risk of your own capital on the table, come trade futures. Trade an Apex account, guys. They are on the cheaper side, and it gives you the ability to trade almost like paper trading, but with the ability to take payouts. How awesome is that? So if you're consistent enough, you're able to say, that's great. I'm able to pull out 500 a day on my eval. I hit the 3,000 mark. Now I'm on a funded account doing the same thing. Now you could take out 2,000 and all you paid was $200 of your own capital if you passed it in an account or two. So they really do pay for themselves. And then if you want to get back into trading penny stocks, you go right ahead, but use the funds you made from the payout, right? Because we're looking for that return on investment to make sure that we're staying in the green. And that's also a good way to stay profitable as a trader.
That's such a great point. You know, the trading psychology of going from paper to cash account, it's a massive stepping stone. And it's, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons that prior to the world of funding, maybe 5% of people who ever tried to get into trading ever saw any sort of profitability out of it. Now we're seeing that shift. I mean, literally what I do all day, every day is interview people who have been successful trading with Apex. And, you know, I've seen people go from homeless to high-rise apartments in major cities. I've seen people just completely change their lives. I've seen people hit 7-figure payouts within a matter of a few months, more than once. I mean, these are not isolated incidents. These are not typical results by any stretch. Of course, we have to say that it's a trading show, right? But they are the possibility. But to me, the reason that they're a possibility is the value of time. It takes time to learn. It doesn't take a lot of time to learn a strategy, if we're being honest. It takes time to learn how to manage yourself as a trader. And for most of us, it takes years, you know? And so having the opportunity to do that, where if we blow an account, we're at a couple $100. I can do this in perpetuity for 10 years if that's how long it takes me to get there. Now, it didn't take me that long once I was operating as a funded trader, but I mean, it certainly took me almost 3 decades. Of course, I wasn't trading consistently for 3 decades, but it really is that opportunity to take that time to learn and grow, still have the opportunity to see some profits, but not be devastated when you don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, great stuff, man. Everybody, drop a like for Gates. Really appreciate him coming on the show today. Like I said earlier, this is sort of the start of something big with Futures Fever. We're going to be having more guests on. It's going to be more interactive with you guys. So definitely drop a like, drop a comment, and even hit that share button, right? So appreciate you all for tuning in. Gates, thank you so much for being here today, man. Dropping some great stuff. Love hearing about your strategy. Love hearing how disciplined you've been, how you're structuring your trading to say, okay, when I'm in my zone, when I'm seeing good setups, I'm on my PA accounts. When I'm not, I'm on my eval accounts. That's awesome.
It's also not the whole story. And I think this bears saying, because I've seen some success. I've seen some love as a trader. It's taken me a long time to get here. And even where I am now, I still face days. Like I said, I blew 6 PA accounts on Monday. It was a lack of discipline. It was a lack of sticking to my rules. And it's just, that's part of the journey. It has been a constant fight for me. And of course, I've had to fight real demons when it comes down to that deep psychology of trading. When you think about how I got started in it in the first place, I really have had to fight some major heavy emotional baggage associated with trading. But the fact is it doesn't matter if you do, if you don't. You get those first payouts, you're still going to regress a little bit, and then you're going to come back stronger, and then you're going to regress a little bit, and then you're going to come back stronger. This is a never-ending journey. If I ever stop learning as a trader, it's only because I stopped trading.
That's right. That's right. And guys, a fantastic point Gates just pointed out there, right? You never really fail in trading until you give up. If you keep going, you keep showing up every day, you will succeed. I promise. But the second you give up, it's over. It's the only way it's over when it comes to trading. Have some discipline, have your strategy. And what's great with Apex is we're able to trade without being emotionally attached to our account because it's our own profits, or it's our own money, it's our own capital. Now we're trading prop firm capital. We're able to say, okay, I just blew 5 funded accounts. If that was real money, that would have been over 10 grand.
Over 20.
Yeah, right, over 20. But because I'm on Apex, I'm only down $1 grand because of all the PA fees. So it really is a great way to get into trading, to get funded, and to take out profits from the market while risking very little of your own capital, something that wasn't around even just as close as 5 years ago. this was not an option.
No, and it's amazing how this world has sort of shifted the way that people approach trading.
Truly,
Myself included.
truly.
Yeah.
You know, what I wonder too is how many futures traders are there that are trading like Apex Trader funding that if prop firms weren't around would be trading in futures? What's the volume difference there? Is it that significant? Which, if they paid out over $500 million in the past 3 years, it must be.
Yeah. I mean, it's massive, but I think that without this opportunity, I think you're going to find a lot more people that are stuck in either options or crypto. That seems to be the progression where traders find like, okay, with options, I can get all this leverage, but then I got to deal with all the Greeks and all that stuff, right? That just it's too much mental homework, in my opinion. Or crypto in hopes that they get that next coin that's going to rush. I've got another story, and I'll share this. I used to own a mattress shop, and part of my advertising was advertising on Craigslist. I used software that I had to pay for my monthly software fee in Bitcoin, and so I had an automatic monthly buy of Bitcoin a long time ago of $50 at, call it under $2 a Bitcoin. And
if only there were a few left behind.
Dude, and I sat there. I even had this moment of when I stopped using the software, I was like, well, should I just keep it on just in case? And I'm like, nah, this isn't going to do anything. I'm just going to revert this into a different ad source. And yeah, man, it was beautiful. Talalay, latex, 100% or a Talalay all day. It's the more natural version. So I would definitely go that route. That's a mattress question for the rest of you.
I was wondering what you meant. I was like, it's Talalay or Dunlop? What?
Yeah, those are two different types of latex. The Talalay, I think, is more. I'm reaching for my recollection here, but I think the Talalay is more breathable, so it stays cooler, and it's just a lot. Yeah, it's just a lot nicer.
Future fever, everyone.
we're getting into the mattress conversations. I mean, believe.
You know what we're talking about when we want to take a nap after our 2-hour trading day in the morning. We get our profits and we're done for the day.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. It's funny the conversations that we get into. Yes, it is definitely an advanced mattress question for sure.
Man, that's funny. That's funny. So Gates, man, again, thank you so much for being on. I know you said you had to go shortly. It's around 11:53 now. Do you have another few minutes?
Yeah, I got a couple minutes before I got to jump for my next call, which unfortunately is not going to be broadcast anywhere. But yeah, man, I'll share with you this. I actually had a great conversation with my kid today. He's 19, and he's been basically going back and forth and saying, he wants to learn how to trade, and maybe I can help him. I'm like, well, yeah, but you've got to tell me when you're ready to make that commitment. And so this conversation's been going on for like 2 years. And today he's on his way to school. He's learning mechanics, auto mechanics and diesel mechanics. And he's like, I think I want to trade too. And I'm like, okay, I know you've been watching my reels because I see you liking them, which I appreciate. Thank you for that. I said, how much of this has to do with the fact that I just hit a big milestone on payouts? He's like, nothing. I'm like, you're a liar. You're not telling me the truth.
Oh, that's great. That reminds me of the meme when it's like, oh, your friend hears that you trade and they're like, hey, can I give you $100 and you give me 1,000 back?
I have neighbors here at my office. They're like, yeah, what if we just like each put together a couple grand? I'm like, no. I went down that road 30 years ago with my mother, and it was one of the most devastating experiences of my life. I'm never doing that again.
Oh man, the Crow says he forced his nephew to trade. Now he made more in July than his parents. That's
awesome.
Great.
Hey Crow, good to see you, man. He's definitely a consistent watcher on Trader Bacon, so it's good to see you in here too, brother.
Yep, awesome. Yeah, we got a great community here at Benzinga. Everybody here is fantastic. Tons of support, tons of love. You guys are running up that like button. I do appreciate it. Gates, man, thank you so much for your time today. It has been awesome.
Always a pleasure to chat. I actually want to talk to you later today, so let me know when you're free up after the show. For
sure, absolutely. Thank you, Gates.
All right, brother. Great talking to you. Great to see you guys out there. We'll see you on the next one.
Awesome. Everybody, make sure you hit that like button for Gates. I'll be sticking around. The show goes on for another 30 minutes. We'll go over some market analysis. Gates, thank you so much. Peace.
Always a pleasure, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome, guys. So now we'll pull up some of my charts. We'll go over what is Apex Trader Funding real quick, the Apex Trader website. Again, guys, so great having Gates on. Really some good knowledge there. He's had such a long experience in trading in this industry. And to hear how he went from 100,000 to 700,000, gave it all back, but continued on his journey, guys. That was 30 years ago, took a break, and like he said, he came back to, I think he said February 2022, took on his journey. I was his mentor for about 5 to 6 months, for quite some time, and he really was able to turn his trading around because with the help of a mentor or one-on-one strategist, we're able to help you figure out what you should really be focusing on versus going onto YouTube and watching one video tell you one thing and the next video tell you another. If anybody is interested, you guys could hook up with me at tradingpioneers.net. I do offer some free consultations on there as well under coaching services. Now, I did also want to announce, and we'll need a little bit of a drum roll, please, for next week's guest. We're going to have on, his name is Andrew Diaz. He goes by the Stock Market Wolf on social media. He's got a pretty big following. Now, he mainly trades options, but he has been trading futures because prop firms have made that big of an impact. He recently just met with Apex and our co-collaborator, Peter Tuchman, at the New York Stock Exchange. Again, he's a phenomenal trader. He does some big numbers, heavy sizing. We're going to have him on next week. So guys, make sure you drop a like if you're excited to have him on. We'll hear about his strategy, his journey into the market. It's going to be really exciting, guys. Now, I saw some comments earlier. People were asking, when does Powell speak? So Powell speaks this Friday. So that is when we have our Jackson Hole event, is this Friday. So hopefully by Friday, we'll get some type of reaction or some type of market movement. Now, what some people might have been anticipating is, guess what, guys? We've sold off these past couple of days, and we'll look at the ES charts instead of the NQ charts. So, guys, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you drop a comment. Tell me, what is your favorite stock or futures to trade? Now, I'd like to see some futures tickers. Tell me if you prefer ES or NQ, or if you like to trade gold. A lot of gold traders lately, especially because a lot of people are coming from Forex and going to futures. And because of that, they were trading something like XAU USD, which is the gold US dollar pair. So GC is our gold future. That's a fantastic commodity to trade. It's got great volume and great volatility. So something to note on the ES, guys. And like I said, we'll come up to a chart that's not as mapped out. So we have a very clean chart to work with. And the first thing I notice is, guess what? Yes, we're pulling back these past few days. In fact, we've sold off about 81 points on the ES, but that's only a 1% move. We're not looking at a major 5% move on the ES. We're selling off. We're in a bear market. We're coming off of all-time highs and we're pulling back. That is not a bear market signal. And I want you guys to remember that, because right now, what might be a pullback, this might be a buy the dip opportunity. But that doesn't mean because we're selling off, we want to go along, because then we would be trying to catch a falling knife. And that is not our game plan, guys. We don't want to try to be the first buyer. We don't want to try to be the first seller. So with that being said, what we do want to do is read the chart, see we're making higher highs, see we're making some higher lows, and see if we want to hold this recent low right here. Now, this recent low is going to help determine if we do want to flip into a bit of a bearish market. If we're able to sustain above this 62.39 area by the time Powell speaks and gets all of that over with, then I would remain bullish on the market, because we're still near all-time highs, we're still making higher highs, and we're still making higher lows. But something we'll really have to be aware of, guys, is how the Qs, which is the NASDAQ, that's the tech sector, is trading, because if the tech is weak, then it's going to be very difficult for the ES to continue its trend higher. So we could pull up NASDAQ, and we'll do the same thing where we pull up one of its separate charts. So we'll do NQU. That's going to be the September contracts. Now, you guys, right away, the first thing we see is 23,500, 23,300, 400, 300. These are our key psychological levels. These are whole numbers that we look for the market to respect, because when we're at all-time highs, we don't have any historical levels to work with. Guys, good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. It is noon. Markets have given us quite a sell-off. We could see if we're returning back for a possible entry. Something I would look for here, guys, is I would look to see our volume profile. So what I'm going to do is here on TradingView, I'm going to come to the left-hand side, come down to our volume based, go to anchored volume profile, and I'm going to put it on this first candle, our New York session open. And now I could see that, guess what? We have our low volume shelf from 23 to 68 to about 23,353. Now, this is a 83-point zone on the NASDAQ. We're not going to enter a trade on NASDAQ with an 80-point stop loss. That would be absurd. However, if we are looking at the full move of the day, it wouldn't be that unheard of, because the move we had from the New York session open on the NASDAQ, if we bring our measurement tool from the open and bring it to the low of the day, was over a 1.6% move on NQ, 390 points to the downside, guys. That is a massive sell-off, really some crazy price action we've been seeing. So with that being said, what I ended up taking today was a short position on NQ. I took 2 shorts today. Well, I took a couple. There were 2 losses and then 2 winners. And of course, we got to let our winners surpass our losers. And the reason for that is because if you have a 2-to-1 risk to reward and higher, you need not even a 50% win rate to be profitable. If I have a 3-to-1 risk to reward on all of my trades, and that's my average, I could have, say, a 30% win rate and still be profitable. And that helps me psychologically know that if I take a loss, I don't have to size up on my next trade to make it back. I'm just going to take the next trade on the same size and keep following my rules. When we don't have a set amount of rules and set risk like that, that's when we really start forcing trades. Now, the first short I took on NQ was over here off of like the 1020, 1025. This was a low volume shelf, and we even see that it was a low volume shelf. You see this blue zone I have marked out. We'll delete this green one. But when the market was selling off, and I put my volume profile right here, this zone right here between 145 and about 160 was a low volume shelf. So once the NASDAQ pulled off of demand and pulled back into this range, I saw some sellers step in, and this was around this was around 1025, so we can pull that up. This is Bookmap, guys. Bookmap is a volume analysis tool. It helps us for day trading, especially for futures, guys. It's a great tool, especially to help you get funded and take some payouts. It really helps you read the internals of the market. Let's see. Good news, AI, yada. Nice, good stuff. What's up, Aura? So let's find our 10 o'clock. So here's where I found my short position, right? Right near that 23,150. That's the zone we were just looking at. We saw that when the NASDAQ pulled into this area, we had buying bubbles. Now, guys, what's cool with Bookmap is it displays the volume at the price levels with the volume bubbles. So if there's a larger bubble, that means there's a larger buyer. If there's a larger sell bubble, there's a larger a larger seller in volume-wise. If we had some small bubbles like this, well, that tells us volume's very weak. So once I saw we had buyers, and they were pretty consistent size, 315, 152, 184, 318. Once we got up here into my zone of resistance around 23,150, we had volume get much weaker. 50, that's a very weak volume bubble compared to the 316 we just had. Once we had that weak volume and the market pulled back, we started getting some selling volume. That was the confirmation to take this short position, stop at the high we just made, to target a quick move lower. Now, I got out for 50 points on the NQ, which is a phenomenal trade, but it's important to also measure the move versus the moves we've been seeing. So the moves we've been seeing on NASDAQ up until this point, we had already a crazy sell-off. I mean, we sold off at that point, we sold off 368 points from the open to the low. So when we pulled back, I was targeting, original target was that demand zone again, new low of day, which would be for about 80 points. I was happy with 50 points. It was a good risk to reward. It was about 10, 15 points of a stop loss. So it was a 3-to-1 risk to reward, like I mentioned earlier. And that is something that's going to really help in my favor, in your favor as a trader, to look for trades like that. And you could use the position tool on TradingView to use that. And guys, check this out. We ended up using this area as resistance, this low volume shelf. Then once we were able to break back above it right here, it created a new fair value gap. It remained a low volume shelf. And then look at this. We came into that old resistance and we held it as support. So just some key areas, some great ways to find it. Can you show how to see Bookmap you are looking at, and is it free? So Bookmap is not free. It is a tool you would have to pay for. You go to bookmap.com. I do have a discount. I believe it takes 20% off the first month if you use discount code Bullish Bears. I'll put that in the chat right now for you guys, Bullish Bears. If you go to bullishbears.com, that's where you could find a bunch of reviews on some charting platforms like TradingView, Bookmap, and that's also where you could log in and sign up. That's where I live trade Monday through Friday. You guys can join me. Bullishbears.com. We have a private Discord community. I go live around 8:45 in the morning, do some pre-market analysis, find our levels, and then we go live into the New York session. But very good tools. Bookmap is great. If you don't use a tool like Bookmap, I would definitely at least recommend using a volume profile. We see that even right here on the NASDAQ, we had another low volume shelf right around here, and we could see it right now. So it was definitely visible before that we found a rejection. We came into it and we stabilized there. So a lot of times, guys, when we use these volume shelves, we want to see the heavy volume. Those are the areas where there's large shelves. We do not want to take any trades there. This is our range. We want to trade outside of that. So if we could find an area to short above our heavy volume, that would be great to target back into our heavy volume. And same with vice versa, right? If we're going lower, we would want to buy the downside. So there's a few things we definitely want to keep an eye on. And guys, make sure you run that like button up. Like I said, we're going to have an awesome guest on next week as well. Really great stuff, different strategies. Let me know what strategy you guys like to use in your trading. The gap fill, let's see, the gap fill today wouldn't have worked on the NASDAQ because our gap fill price would have been from, we're on the 15-minute time frame. Here's our 345 candle, close. Now our gap fill price was only, let's see, was only 0.20 away. So it was a very small gap size. So usually the odds are high that we actually want to fill this gap. However, because markets were so bearish right at the open, sort of like they were at the previous day, this is Tuesday's open. So now we see the market is giving us relative price action, right? It's relative to the previous day. It's following that trend. Palantir is insane. Yo, I bet. We'll take a quick look at Palantir, then we'll hop right back to our futures. But yeah, I did want to mention Palantir had a major area of support off of 145 down here. So these were the two zones I wanted to watch. I was really more of a fan of this lower zone because it had 150, which is a key psychological level in it. What I would look for on something like Palantir is how this daily candle would close. If it could close exactly like we are right now, where it's a small body, long lower wick, and it closes above this 145 area, this might possibly be setting up for a second leg on Palantir. We could take a look. Long position tool. You would get stopped out if it broke previous day low. Look to target new all-time highs. That alone would be about a 25% return. And again, that would be with the momentum we're seeing, right? This is all analysis we're doing here, guys. There's no difference if I was doing this candlestick analysis versus if it was Palantir or the ES or the NQ. We're using our Fibonacci tool from high to low. We're using our demand zones. We're using our tools. Price action is price action. Analysis is analysis. Volume analysis, on the other hand, is what we use for Bookmap, what we use on our volume profile. That gives us a good advantage. Let's see, like, look at this, guys. Palantir has just been flying for years now. This is all the way September 2022, October 2022. It was down at $7.60 a share. Now we're trading at $1.51, and people are scared of it because it pulled back. How much influence does Bookmap have on your chart and your trading? Great question. So Bookmap is a great tool to confirm my zones that I'm looking for. So if I'm trading like the NASDAQ trade we took, and we could look at ES too, but we'll use NASDAQ for this example. So if I saw that low volume shelf here on TradingView with my volume profile, and then I come over to NASDAQ on Bookmap, and Bookmap shows me my volume analysis is confirming my chart analysis, then I know that my trade setup is much more in my favor. If I have a zone right here in my volume analysis, let's say when we were coming up to these prices, that there was a very large buyer. Actually, that's 1137. We're looking for 1025. That's going to be right over here somewhere. 10 here. This is where we found the sellers. So let's say, guys, we had a huge buyer step in right at these highs. Then I wouldn't have taken a short position because there's volume at higher prices. Once I see that there's no volume at these higher prices while we were moving higher on a pullback, and the reason I know this is a pullback and not a reversal is because of how strong the price action has been. So we know it's not a reversal, it's just a pullback. The question always remains, where do we pull back to? And that's where our volume profile and our analysis comes in play to say, okay, well, we have a fair value gap formed here and a low volume shelf. Those are two A+ setups. That's two confluences on my chart that's giving me extra confidence in my trading. And again, we're no longer gamblers, right? People hear day trading and they think you're gambling. We are not gambling and trading, guys. We are taking high probability setups that are confirmed on our charts and on our screens. Yo, you guys got it. Absolutely, man. Run that like button up, guys. It is 12:15. We've gone over some cool strategies today. Yep, absolutely. Guys, any questions, please let me know in the comments. We run these Futures Fever shows every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern to 12:30. And don't forget, guys, fill out the form in the comments, too, for a chance to win a free Apex Trader evaluation account. I'm going to pull that up right now. There we go. Perfect. So it's going to be right down in the comments. Fill that out for a chance to win. You'll get an email by Friday saying if you win or not. And what's cool, guys, is if you do win, you get to pick any account size you want. So with Apex Trader funding, they are running an 80% off discount. Use discount code FFEVER or scan the barcode on the top. And then you save 80% off on the first month and 80% off recurring. So really great sale there. They've paid out over $500 million in payouts in the past 3 years. Guys, Apex isn't just about paying out. Apex is about changing lives. Like Gates mentioned, he would interview people that literally were possibly homeless, right? Living out of a car. But because of Apex's low cap that is required to get started on an eval and to get funded, as little as $200 to get on a funded account and possibly get paid out. But it's up to you to have the right strategy and the right system to get you to that payout phase. Yes, sir. For winning, we have a super chat. Nice. Oh, the form. Producer, do you mind posting the form one more time in the chat so it's more recent? Thank you so much. Now, guys, as for the rest of our Apex accounts, so they offer 3 different plans. Now, a lot of people were asking earlier, what broker should I use? What platform should I use? So they offer 3 plans. The first plan is Wealth Charts. The second plan is Rhythmic. And the third plan is Tradeovate. Now, when you sign up with the Tradeovate plan, you also get access to a Ninja Trader plan, which is a great place to have some type of copy account. Awesome. Appreciate you. So Tradeovate is also the plan I usually recommend people get started with. And I also recommend when you get started on an Apex account, maybe buy 1 to 3 accounts and sort of just get started. Go light. Don't go crazy. Take your time because you could always buy more accounts afterwards and take it to the next level. So the account size I usually recommend people get started is either the 25K or the 50K account. Now, regardless, your account risk per account size is going to be small, right? We're not going to be trading $500 risk per trade. Difference between them. So the difference between them is going to be the profit goal and the trailing threshold. So the profit goal on a 25K account is $1,500. So you have to make $1,500 on a 25K account. However, your trailing threshold is also $1,500, $1,500. So if you take, let's say you're risking max risk per trade, $150 per trade. That's how much you should be risking max on a 25K account, because that gives you the ability to be wrong 10 times in a row before blowing the account. Now, obviously, our goal isn't to blow the account. Our goal is to sustain it and hit the profit target. But what's great with giving yourself the ability to have 10 incorrect trades in a row is you're able to take 1 or 2, be wrong, and not have that emotional attachment that, oh man, this account's pretty much gone already. I should just full port my next trade. No, guys, your next trade has nothing to do with your last. We take our time with it, and great place to start. 25K account, 1,500 is a very easy target. But the trailing threshold, because it's a trailing threshold, it's always moving up to wherever the highest your account has been. So let's say on Apex, you have a 25K account and you're up $500 on a trade, but you don't close it out. If that trade comes back to break even on you, yo, what's up, the Digital Dino? Awesome to have you in here, man. Great to have the whole Benzinga team tuning in. Love it. But 25K account, your goal is 1,500. Let's say you're up $500 on the account and it has a $1,500 trail stop. Well, your $1,500 trail stop is going to climb $500 with your account, even though you didn't stop out of the position. So even though you were up 500 and then it came back down and stopped you out for break even, now your trail stop is only $1,000 away from you. So that's where it gets a little too tight, in my opinion. So that's why I would like to have people sort of get started on a 50K account. This is where most people do trade. It gives you up to 10 minis, which you'll never trade 10 minis on a 50K account anyways. The profit goal is higher than the 25K, so it's at 3,000 instead of 1,500, but the trailing threshold is 2,500. So it gives you more wiggle room, gives you more cushion, and gives you the ability to trade even more stress-free, in my opinion. Now, with the 50K account, same kind of risk, right? Maybe don't risk any more than $200 per trade, and that would take 12 incorrect trades to blow your account in a row. So once you start aligning some of these tips that I'm giving you about risking max $200 on a 50K, but looking for a 2-to-1 risk to reward, well, guess what? You're risking 200 to make 400. If you take, let's see, to make 400, that would be less than 10 right trades to be on a profitable side, let alone pass your funded account. So it'd be 10 incorrect, over 12 trades to blow it, and less than 10 trades to pass it. And that's because you have a higher risk to reward. And that's exactly what we want to look for. But that's Apex. Again, I definitely recommend getting a Tradeovate plan. And one of the main reasons for that is because you're able to link your Tradeovate account to TradingView. Now, this would be a free version of TradingView, so anybody could sign up for it. And you're able to use tools like the anchored volume profile. You're able to use the different rectangle tools that I have marked out over here. It's really helpful. You're able to hit trading panel and you're able to link any of these brokers. So you would hit Tradeovate and then log in with the credentials that Apex gave you. And then you could place your trades right here, guys. It's super simple. Yep, very easy. Contracts. So contracts is basically like how much you're trading. So right now we'll connect paper trading on TradingView, and I'll show you basically what contracts means. So once you have your account linked, this would be, let's say, our Tradeovate. It would say your Apex account. It would have your account total, and then you would click this trade icon, and that's going to bring up your depth of market and your order tool. Now, what you can do is you could come to the screen as well on TradingView, and you could use the short position tool or the long position tool. These are my favorites, guys. And the reason for that is because let's say I was looking for a short position right now. I could click the short position wherever price is currently trading, and then I could adjust my stop loss to wherever I want to be stopped out and adjust my take profit. And then once I right click on this, I could click create limit order, and it's going to do that for me. Now, right now, my risk is only $150. So because my stop loss is 17 points, I can't even trade one full NQ contract with that same risk. So what I could do is I could come over here and hit add. Now it shows me I would be in one contract with a $350 risk. Now, if I add, it'll say 2 contracts, $700 risk. Contracts is basically how many you're in. So if you're short on the NQ, you would sell to enter the position, right? So you would hit sell, that would enter you in a position. If you wanted to go in a long position, you would buy to enter the position, right? Because if you wanted to go higher, you would hit buy and look for price to move higher. If you want price to move lower, you would hit sell and look for price to move lower, and then buy to get out of your position. But very helpful, very useful, guys. Definitely good stuff. Make sure you're hitting that like button, guys. We are dropping some great knowledge today on today's episode of Futures Fever. And like I mentioned, we have a great guest coming up with us next week as well. Super excited about that, guys. What would the risk be 1% on 100K? 1% on 100K, I'm not too, well, 1% on 100K is $1,000, but it definitely depends if you're referring to the Apex accounts. So with the Apex account, the 100K account, your profit goal is 6,000 and your trailing threshold is 3,000. So sort of the same situation on how we did the math on the max risk on these. If you wanted to max risk and blow the account in 10 incorrect trades in a row on a trailing threshold of 3,000, then it would be $300 a trade, because that would be a tenth of that total. What would be the value of the contract? So the value of the contract is calculated by the move after you enter the trade. So when we're trading, the ES is a better example because it moves a lot smaller than the NQ. But let's say the ES is trading at 64.05 right now. If I get in at 64.05, what's different between futures and options is options have Greeks. So if it takes an hour or two, it's going to be a lot less against you because the theta, right? Now with futures, it could take its time. So let's say we're trading at 64.05 and I get in a long position and the market moves up 1 point. 1 point on ES is $50 a point. That's on an ES contract. On MES, it's $5 a point. So there's ES and there's MES. So when we're trading the two, usually when you get started, you want to trade the MES because that's for the micros. How's your Apex account doing? It's doing pretty good, man. This past, I'll say yesterday and today were phenomenal days. Thank goodness, because before the past 2 days, I was telling my community that, guys, markets have been sort of some really bad price action. Look at this past, really few weeks, right? Where we would get some clean moves, we'd go lower, a nice trend lower. Then we'd get these days where this is our New York session in these darker zones, where we would get these very choppy days, very range bound. Very range bound. This one was a slow. This might look like we went higher, but if we zoom in on this, this is a 15-minute time frame. On a 5-minute, this would have looked like a slow chop, and this would not have been a smooth trend. Same thing over here. We sold off in the morning, and then we chopped from 11 o'clock onwards, and so on and so on. And we see all of that, guys. We see all of that, and at that point, when we're reading price action like that, that's when I tell everybody, listen, it's either time to size down, or if you really feel the need to trade, go on an evaluation account. Because what's cool with Apex and being able to have multiple accounts, some people think, oh, well, if you have 10 accounts, you have to copy all 10 accounts. Absolutely not, guys. Hey, what's up, Driv? What's going on? How could you win the eval? You're going to fill out the form in the comments. I'm going to have our producer, do you mind dropping that form in the comment one more time for our wonderful community so they get a chance to win a free Apex Trader evaluation account? Thank you so much. But as to what I was saying, some people think I have 10 accounts, I have to copy 10 accounts. Absolutely not. A way that I like to use the accounts is if I have multiple funded, I might trade just a handful of them at a time, or just one at a time. Because guess what? If I'm in a really good trade, New York session opens, I take a great trade, I hit my daily goal, 5 to 1, 7 to 1, whatever my total goal is, then I'm going to take it. I'm going to close that account down for the day. And if I see another good setup, I'll take it on another funded account so that I'm not missing out on any good trades, but I'm also not over trading and breaking any of my rules. So that's how cool Apex is as well. Going to try for free account? Yeah, absolutely. We'll use it for gold so I can take some gold trades with you every morning. Awesome, man. Cool stuff, Jay. Mr. Rotten is a gunner. Yes, sir. So let's see. So we're looking at ES, guys. It is 10:24. I trade futures. So I trade the ES, like we see right here, is the ES, which is the S&P 500. So those who trade the SPY or the SPX as well. What's the ideal higher and lower time frame you should trade if I use Apex? That's a great question. Fantastic question. So what time frame, guys, should you be using when you use Apex? Well, when we're trading Apex, we're going to be day trading. So that means we're in and out of the position in the same trading day. Now, technically, futures are open 23 hours a day. So you could get in a position at 9 o'clock at night and hold it all the way until New York opens, until it hits your take profit, whatever the case is. Now, what I always like to do and tell people is, because we're day trading, we always want to start with a top-down analysis. And guys, there's that form in the comments for you. But what I like to do is a top-down analysis where I start on a daily time frame and just to look at the overall trend and direction. Let's get out of the paper trading account for now so we could sort of see it a bit more clearly. Perfect. So I like to look at the general direction. I'd say, okay, well, look at this. Daily time frame wise, we've been making higher highs, we've been making higher lows. Okay, that's very helpful. But when we're day trading, we're trading on the 5 and 15 minutes. So looking at all of July and all of August isn't that helpful for my smaller time frame, but it gives me an overall idea. Then I scroll in to our closer daily time frame analysis. That's just a more recent charts. And I look to see if we've been breaking previous day lows and closing red, if we've been breaking previous day highs and closing green. What's the general trend we're trading with right now? Okay, well, I see that we had a previous day low broken right here, but we closed green. But then yesterday, we had a previous day low broken. We broke below. This blue zone was my support area, and we closed red. That meant today I was looking for shorts, 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 and I got my bias off of the daily time frame, not with any ICT concepts or any measured moves or this or that, just by going over basic higher time frame structure, higher highs, higher lows, and then zooming in and looking at recent days price action. Then I'm able to come down to a 4-hour time frame. Same thing. Now what this does is it sort of smooths out the daily time frame for me. So I'm able to see areas of support, areas of resistance. I see we're still making higher highs, so we won't really have any supply zones back here. Our supply zones will be really over here. Our demand zones will be back here. So I do see we have a 3-hour demand right there. We're going to check that out. 3-hour demand. Look how well that held as support today, guys. We wicked it and we pushed back higher 43 points so far. So that would have been a fantastic target area on ES, right? Supply and demand is a great system and a great strategy for our higher time frame analysis to get an idea of direction. Then what we do, Mr. Kembley, do apologize on the mispronunciation, is we look for a lower time frame. So we did our daily, we do our 3-hour, 2-hour, 4-hour, maybe a 1-hour, and we're really looking for market structure. We're looking for lower lows, lower highs, and we're looking for also zones of interest, right? And once we start breaking down to the hourly and lower, this is when I start bringing out the volume profile. So like, let's say the 45-minute time frame, if I want to see a strong trend, we had a trend yesterday, I would put my volume profile at the start of our trend, and that's where I would get some areas. Say, okay, well, it looks like we have a low volume shelf. This is where I had marked out this morning. So New York session, we opened right over here, guys. When the New York session opened, I was looking for us to pull back towards 64.56. I wanted to pull back first before we sold off. We did not get that. So what do? We used our volume profile to watch the sell-off, go down to a lower time frame, and find our low volume areas to enter on. And that's how we were able to successfully trade the ES today on that move lower, and the NASDAQ as well. I ended up taking an ES short off of this low volume node. It's not a low volume node anymore, but just assume, guys, just think about it for a moment. When price was selling off right here, it was moving so rapidly, so quickly, that volume wasn't given the opportunity to get filled. So every time we moved lower and lower and lower, we created imbalance after imbalance after imbalance. And that's what we look for our entries. We were able to pull back. We found some weakness. We took it short. New low of day target confirmed. Great quick trade. But remember, using volume profile gives us the opportunity to find really tight risk to reward trades and say, okay, look, I'm looking for just a quick little move. I only wanted 13 points. I have a 2.75 stop loss, almost a 5-to-1 risk to reward. And it's not like I'm looking for a 100-point move on the ES. I'm just looking for a new low of day. We're just coming off of it right now. We've been printing new low of days all day. This is a continuation trade. We could even look at the VIX for continuation as well. Everything should be lining up. And when things start to not line up, whether it's our volume analysis or our technical, that's when we have to say, okay, hold up. Maybe I don't have a proper trade right now. Guys, that's Futures Fever today. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. What a fantastic episode. Don't forget, I'm bringing on Andrew Diaz next week. He is a options and futures trader as well. Really excited about that. Guys, hit that like and subscribe and follow me on social media. Our social media handle is, of course, at Benzinga, and my personal Instagram is at Trading with Kev, where I post daily market analysis. Take care, everybody. See you next week.